I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have an amazing guest. She was Tantomile on the Royal Caribbean cruise Oasis of the Seas, which has been doing a production of Cats since 2014. So welcome, Emily Tanner. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to get into cruise cats.
Right off the bat, okay.
Well, before we go off the bat, I do think it's more fun to hear a little bit more about your history of cats. So you are kind of in the range of where you might have grown up with the 1998 movie, but when was the first time you saw it? How much did you know about it before the cruise? Like, what is your backstory with cats?
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I was not a theater kid at all. I was shy and I took dance lessons and I just wanted to be a rock cat. Like, I had nothing to do with cats. I think I had seen the eyes and I had seen the logo, but never had I seen the VHS. Never saw a tour come through. And it wasn't until I was living in New York and I saw the revival that came out. Is it 2016 that came? 2017. Yeah, that revival came out. And I knew a few people in it. They'd gone to my college and to my high school. And I was like, oh, like that's what this is. Like I had no idea the plot. I mean, does anyone know the plot?
I've spent a lot of time trying to figure that out.
Right, haven't we all? I was in it for a year. I have questions. So that was the first time I saw it. But it still didn't really occur to me, oh, you could be in it. And then I find it so funny that a few years later, I end up playing 5 different cats in the show, like ranging in the strangest perspective of cats. I had never anticipated that.
So as a dancer, you because I've talked to a few, it seems like people who are in the show are either dancers, singers, or very deep into theater. Mm-hmm. And as a dancer, it's like most of the dancers wanted to be the white cat. And it's like you knew about that. But it sounds like you didn't, you just were.
I didn't. I didn't know.
Not at all.
I knew so little about the white cat that when I was at the audition, they said, does anyone have a really great leg extension? And I was like, yeah, I have a pretty good extension where you can just hold it out to the side. And so all of these ballerinas came out and they all developed their leg up by their face. And I brought my leg up and it was at a little above 90 degrees. And I was like, oh, they didn't mean that. They meant they want someone that their leg can just stick straight up in the air. And so once I saw my leg where it was and everyone else's, I just removed myself. I just walked back to the side and I was like, thank you very much. I guess I'm not going to be the white cat.
So never saw the movie, never. Mm-hmm. I mean, and when did you go on the tour? Was it after you saw it in 2016?
Yes. So what had happened was right before I saw the Broadway show, I was on a cruise contract performing out around South America for 6 months. And I swore I would never do a cruise ship ever again. I was like, this is insane. I miss my family. I have to get back to New York. And then I saw Cats. I was like, that's an interesting show. And then I saw the audition for Cats for Royal Caribbean. And then, if you've ever met a performer without a job, we kind of like having jobs. And I was like, well, I guess if I auditioned for Cats, I would go back and do a cruise ship only because it would be adding to my resume and it would be a completely different experience than the cruise that I had done before. So that was the order. I had done a cruise. I swore I would never do it again. I saw Cats, didn't think I would ever be in it, auditioned for Cats, booked 5 million Cats, and then cruised for a year doing the show.
So now you get through the audition, you get cast as Tantomile and also a swing, it sounds like, for everything in between. How does a cruise ship, it's not 8 shows a week, I assume, how does a cruise Cats contract work?
So it is very different from your normal traditional 8 shows a week, because whenever you do that, you are committed to the show, right? Your job is to be a cat every day, and you get paid lots of money to do that. But when you are hired by a cruise ship, there are other jobs that you are supposed to do on the ship. So we actually only did cats 3 nights a week, and then 2 other nights a week we had a whole separate like variety show that we would perform in that had like tap dancing and hip hop and acrobats and like the things flying in the air. And then we also had 2 parades that we had to march in. So I would have to put on like a Rastafarian wig and march down the promenade twice a week. And then what else? Dancers. So the dancers and singers had very different experiences on our ship as well. So the singers got to kind of live like a joyful existence, and they got their own rooms, and most of them had windows, so they could just kind of look out the window and think about doing the show at night. Whereas the dancers, we were like running around the ship, like teaching dance classes and running the spotlight machine for other events. So like I had to learn how to use like a legit spot machine to spot the aqua show 3 times a week at the back of the ship. Or we had to do quick changes for other shows. And we were also, the dancers were double bunked down in the underbelly of the ship where we had no windows, and you would wake up in like pitch black every day and you would just be like, where am I? While the singers were off like living their lives and just having a great time.
So was there some animosity between the singers and dancers?
Sure. But I was smart, and right from the beginning, I knew that the singers were going to have some privileges. So I may have kind of like forced myself into some singer friend groups where I knew that, you know, they didn't have to make reservations at a restaurant. They could just walk right in. Or like for example, the singers, they could just go to the hot tub whenever they wanted. And the dancers had to get written permission like a week ahead of time if we wanted to go to the hot tub. So I would get my friend who was Skimble, and I would say, hey, you want to go to the hot tub after the show? And we would go, and I would get to go to the hot tub only because of Skimble. So I had no animosity towards the singers because I played my cards right, but not all the dancers did. And there was a little bit of sore feelings, I think, as a whole.
Yeah, that is. I feel like that might influence your take on the show. If you've got like a little bit of like, all right, well, this person gets this privilege. Like you might bring that into your cat's performance. Completely,
especially when you play someone like Tantomile, who doesn't have like the strongest personality character. Like, you know, my words were, what were they? Like secretive, telepathic, and I wrote them down, and suspicious. And so like whenever you play those, you could kind of like it was however I felt about people that day. And so that would kind of like go into it. Like if I was annoyed with the dancers for some reason, or annoyed with the dance captain, or if I was annoyed with anyone, Tantomile would kind of be annoyed with that person in the show, because if she is like highly sensitive, that's how I kind of played it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the influence of like the ship actually can change the story here, because there's so much freedom with that. Yeah. Tell me, as much as I have a million other questions about just the other things you're forced to do on the ship, I should probably stick to the cats part of it. Yeah. So you did 3 shows a week, and are these, I'm assuming 7-day cruise? This is like one of the largest cruise ships in the world. It's probably a 7-day plus cruise. Yeah. How many times did people go see it? Was it like couple people saw it all 3 times, or is it really different people each time? Like, what does that look like?
Well, you have to first start with who books a 7-day cruise in the Caribbean and is like, first things first, we have to go see cats. It's not going to be a large group of people, which is unfortunate because we were working so hard out there. Like, we really were a great group of performers. We were doing the original show, and yeah, it wasn't super popular. So the way that Royal did it, you didn't have to buy tickets. You just had to reserve seats. And so it was a 1,500 seat auditorium, which is a pretty large space. And you could go every night if you wanted to, or you could go the first night and sit through intermission and then think it was over and then just head back to the buffet if you wanted. They put it at really late times. So the first 2 nights, I think the show is at 9 o'clock maybe. And so by the time you get to the Jellicle Ball, they think the show is over. and they just head out because they didn't pay for it and there's no usher telling them to stay. And then on the last day of the cruise, there would be a matinee. And what are you going to do on the last day of the cruise whenever it's a sea day and you're coming back in? Like, you're going to go lay out at the beach. You're not going to sit in a dark theater and watch a creepy Broadway show. That's what it.
Yeah, I mean, so when I did my research on the Oasis of the Sea, I was shocked that it's been going on since 2014. I mean, pandemic aside of cruise ships, it's been going on for multiple years. And having been on cruises before, I don't think I've ever watched a musical on a cruise. Like, I've seen shows or variety shows or comedies or interactive games, but I was trying to rack my head around if I ever saw a full, because it's like a 2 hour and 40-minute production if you're doing the original show.
And expensive, I think, to buy the rights and to pay the performers and to do all the things. But I know Royal started, and other cruise lines have done this too, they've started adding musicals. Just to be like another thing, these cruise ships are like floating theme parks, and there's ice skating rinks and bumper cars and Ferris wheels. And so they're like, why not add a Broadway show into the mix too? But they've actually have shortened it down. So it used to be the full original thing. I think for the first 7 or 8, I was cast 6, and I know a few after us did the full thing too. But they're doing an abridged version now. I think it's like a 90-minute show where they like took out all the slow things, they put in the best of the best, and then boom, it's done, and there's no intermission.
I want to talk to someone who's doing that because I want to know what they cut. I want to know, like, how do you take, like, what cat's not up for
the axe?
Yeah, who got the axe? I know someone from 2016 did like a junior high or high school production, and they just did like 4 cats. And so it's like, it's not the story or anything. It was just a chance to do it. So I'm wondering, like, this is though being billed as cats and cut down to 90 minutes.
I don't know who got the cut. I know there's a Grisabella out there right now because she's been laying out. I've seen pictures of her, and I think there's a Tantomile Cork Pat, but I know you need more characters than that. So I don't know who got the cut, but I will investigate and let you know.
I could make my own guesses on the 90-minute version, but
who would you pick out?
Well, I think I would do it the reverse of like who needs to be in.
Yeah.
So I think you have to probably do the naming of the cats to like kick thing off of like, here's what the Jellicle Ball is about. And then you probably you probably need to do Jenny, and then you probably need to do Tugger because that's like a huge reason why. You'll need Mistopheles. You probably cut out you could cut out Buster Jones and probably miss nothing.
Yeah. I also would personally, unfortunately, make that cut as well.
Yeah. And then, and that also helps too, because you could then because that's usually Gus, which I think you would need to keep.
Yeah, or shorten Gus.
Or shorten Gus. I don't think you need all the other stuff with it. Yeah.
I know we had like Peaks and Pollicles, and I think they probably took out Peaks and Pollicles.
You could take Peaks and Pollicles out. I think you can shorten the ball. It's from what I've heard, it's like a 14 or 15 minute orgy. You can make that a little shorter.
It's a long time up there.
Yeah. And then I think, the McCavity piece is interesting. It's kind of the only, I guess he's the villain of sorts.
Yeah, but we also need Skimble because,
build the train, and then you need Mistopheles. You can't cut Mistopheles. I didn't like
building the train, so we could do Skimble without the train.
Okay. So I don't know. It's hard. I don't know what you kind of think. I guess to your point, it's like, I guess I already didn't say Mungo, Jerry, and Ripple Teaser, so clearly I cut them without thinking about it.
We got rid of them.
Okay, I can make this 90 minutes. Yeah. So with 1,500 seats, was it filled at moments? I mean, like, this is a very famous show.
Yes, but did you buy a ticket to see Cats? No, you bought a 7-day cruise to the Caribbean. So, but we did fill up. We would fill up the house. I would say we would start the show with maybe 700 on a good night. So it was like a 2-level auditorium. So the bottom section would be pretty full, and then the top would maybe have some sprinklings of people.
Did you do Green Eyes, where you kind of went through?
I didn't do Green Eyes, but we did do Green Eyes out.
Okay.
I mean, I think that the Green Eyes that they sent out to the ship were like the original Green Eyes, so they didn't all work, or maybe like half of it would light up. we had some funky props that we were doing our best to keep together, but I did not personally do green eyes, except when I would go on for a cover and I would be just terrified, just running around trying to scare people, but mostly being scared myself of like, where am I supposed to go and at what time, and just don't hit anyone.
Yeah. So here's my other piece about this, because you are, especially the dancers, you're in costume, you're in makeup, you're not like as easily identifiable as a cat as you are like there. So did you have any, like you were on the boat for a while and your interactions, like did you have any super fans or kind of like strange interactions with fans who saw it and then recognized and talked to you about it after?
We weren't really, I mean, it was kind of nice. We were incognito on the ship pretty much because as performers, we weren't really recognized because we were so dressed up during the show. So I could lay out, I could go to the gym, I could be anywhere, and nobody ever would be like, oh my gosh, you're Tantomile, because that would never happen, but also because it was just the way
they'd have no
was.
idea which cat you were anyways, or the names or anything.
No. We would occasionally get, we would stay after on our last show of the week on that Saturday for like photo ops and meet and greets randomly. And we would have some super fans come on. And it was really cool because sometimes we would get people that would say, oh my gosh, well, we just saw the show on Broadway because it was still running while I was doing it. And they would say, we just saw the show on Broadway and we love yours so much more, which was really cool to hear because we kind of felt a little bit, or I personally did, like we're out in the ocean. Nobody really knows that we're here. We're working so hard, and yet, the Broadway show is getting all of the hype. And it was kind of fun to get told that they appreciated what we were doing as well. And we would get the super fans that would draw things and all that.
Hell yeah, the drawings and the stories and all those. I do think it's got to be like, it's interesting to hear you say how challenging I assume it's got to be with, to your point, you're not the main attraction, but you are a attraction for part of this ship. And there's a lot of people that are going to come and enjoy it and see it, but they're there for, the pool and the slides and whatever else and the ports and everything else. I was fascinated to see that because I had, again, never seen a Broadway show on there. Maybe we just didn't go.
Right. They don't really advertise it. You have to like scoop it out to like really like, oh, there's a Broadway show here. It's not like on the billboards.
Now let's talk about what you were told about the various cats you played and like the plot. Because to your point, it's a loose through line. It's a tough story to follow.
Yeah.
What were you told about your characters? I know you just mentioned your 3 words, but like, what were you told as the backstory?
I believe that my twin and I were brought in, and we had meetings one-on-one with the director. We had a full month of rehearsals where we went to cat school. We learned the story. We read through the script. We did all the things. I'm trying to think, what were we told about our characters? Well, we knew the twins didn't have owners, and we weren't young ones. We didn't fit in with the old cats. We kind of just did our own thing. We knew that we were meant to be completely in sync the whole time, but really they would like really focused in on the fact that my twin and I were covering all of the ensemble, and because there's no extras. And so yes, I know that the director, had lots of meetings with Grizz and with Demeter, and there was like so much there. But I think with the twins, it was like, dance together, know a little bit about your character, go where you're supposed to go, but also here's a binder with all of the other information, and we need you to learn that. Unfortunately, that kind of is how it went. So my twin and I just we kind of made it up as we went, and we went on our own journey of kind of figuring that all out.
So how many cast members, or I guess let's split it up, because clearly you're like two separate groups between singers and dancers. How many singers and how many dancers were you? If there were no extras, like how many was the full cast? And that meant that like you flipped in and out. Like, did you cut people? Was like a certain cat not there if somebody was injured? Yeah.
So it was really stressful. Okay. We were doing the best we could. We had no extra hands. So maybe that's why the show was even more confusing some nights, because there would be no people that were supposed to be there that weren't. There were 22 cats in our show, I think. sometimes we would be down to like 17 cats in our show.
So who got cut? Like who was always like the okay wait because you can't cut a few of them, like you need a Grizz.
You would cut Tantomile Quarkapat. So the way it would work, instead of like, say if Skimble was sick, normally on land the Skimble cover can go in, but with us, my twin covered Skimble. So then my twin would jump in, and then there would just be one like telepathic twin for the show. And so it would always fall upward. So it would always fall to where there was no twins. So we were the first to go every time. And then like Tumble or Pounce it would be like the ensemble cats that don't drive the plot forward, unfortunately.
So you had days where you were one twin.
Yes.
Which doesn't make sense, just terminology wise.
Exactly.
But you were missing your other half.
Yeah,
or zero twins.
That's a weird show because you're so used to having your partner next to you, and when they're not there, it's very strange and very lonely.
So do you do the exact same dance number, but just with the other half missing? Like, don't you do stuff together?
Yeah, we would do some lifts and things that we would just like, I don't know, I'd just like twirl around myself on stage and do some other moves. And then we were always in a reblock. So I think after the first month, so we were on the ship for 10 months, which is a criminally long amount of time that you're allowed to be on a ship. Like cruise contracts, normally you perform between 6 and 7 months. And they said, let's put this cast out there for 10 months. And so I think
10 months, no breaks. Like
no breaks. No, you can't go home.
Through.
And we had 2 months of rehearsals first. So it was 12 months of the exact same people. You are never allowed to go home.
And do you go the same ports, like the same route the whole year?
Yes. I think I went to Cozumel because there was a hurricane that came and kind of messed with our cruise contract. I think I went to Cozumel approximately 30 times.
Wow.
It seems like every Friday for a year we were in Cozumel. So what happened though, to explain like the blocking and how it would change, I think within the first month, our Tumble Brutus, he like stepped on a sea urchin out in like St. Thomas or something. And so he was out of the show for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. And so from that point, we were a healthy cast until that happened. And that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And from losing him, we just started dropping cats left and right. And so our formations were just, we didn't even know what they were supposed to be whenever we had a full cast. Like it felt like there were too many people on stage on like the rare occasion that we were all there. It was like, I don't have room to do my choreography if everyone is actually accounted for.
So there's no replacements, no nothing. Like someone goes down in a show that has a pretty like long history of injuries because of how physical it is. Just nope, keep going. And we're just going to hope that the 1,500 people each night, 3 nights a week, don't recognize it.
Yes, they would. I mean, if something was like seriously bad, Shoreside would send someone out, but it would take a minute to get them because you'd have to get your passport figured out, and then you'd have to like come in, and we'd have to reblock the show, all this stuff. Sadly, our Misto got really sick right after we got on. We think, I don't know if this was a story, we think he ate something in the mess, and he got like salmonella from it. We don't know. Long story short, he got sent home for like 8 months of the contract. He actually went back on to do the tour as Misto like a year later. But while he was gone, I think we had 4 or 5 people come on the ship as Misto. And like it would always just be a wildly different experience having a new Misto backstage. And then they would fly them out and then fly them back home and then fly a new one out and fly them back home. And then our Misto that we started with actually came out and finished. Our contract was so long that he could be severely ill and then come back to finish out the contract at the end.
Have a new Jellicle life, finish it out.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, also our Demeter too. The reason I got to go on for Demeter in our second show that we did, like our variety show, that was the more of the cruise thing. She got hit in the face with a briefcase, and she got a concussion, and she got sent home, which is how I got to make my Demeter debut.
So who all did you go on as? And now the second half of that question is, how did they all get hurt or pulled out? Because it's like it's usually just like, oh, they take a day off, or like you get to go on because someone's not going to do 8 of the shows. They're going to pick, it's going to be you're going to swing in. But here it's like, no, you're swinging in because of need, because of
like severity. Yeah, you did not just take a day off. That is hilarious to even think that we could do that. Yeah, so we lost our Demeter because she got hit in the head with a briefcase. I went on for Rumple Teaser. My roommate got sick, and whenever, just like a head cold. But when you're sleeping down in the underbelly of a ship, like the circulation is so bad that you're just breathing in this like not fresh air. And so she was sick for like weeks, it seems like, because we would only do cats 3 times a week, and I did her track like for 2 straight weeks, crazy enough. So that's what happened with that. And then so I ended up not going on for Bomb. Did I explain who I covered here? So I was Tantomile, and I covered, no. I don't think I said. So I covered Demeter and Rumple Teaser. And then I was also covered for Bomb. And then I finished out the contract. I didn't go on for Bomb. I just went on for Demeter and Rumple Teaser. So then I finished the ship. I say again, I'm never doing a cruise ship ever again. They call me like 2 months after I get off the ship, and they're like, hey, we need you to come back and play Cassandra. Our Cassandra like broke her arm doing something. And I was like, okay, so another freak accident. There you go. Like broke her arm, who knows, doing what. So I go back they were like, it's only for a month. You'll do 12 shows. It's no big deal. And then they also tacked on, and you're going to cover Bomb. And I was like, well, that won't happen. I'll just go back and I'll play Cassandra. So it was just going to be so fun. I was going to go to the beach, make a little bit of money, and easy. Cassandra, what is she? She's kind of like the twins. She like dances, and she has a few
telepathic and dances.
Yeah, like it has legs. And I was like, that's easy. So I get on the ship, and I spend the whole first week chilling because they didn't want to put me in the first night, obviously, because we do cats on Sunday, Monday, and Saturday. So I hang out all week long, just knowing I'm about to go on for Cassandra on Saturday. And when I got on the ship, I asked the dance captain, I said, is our Bomb, is she healthy? Are we good? Like, do you think I'm going to have to go on for her? And he was like, she's great. Don't worry about her. So of course, the first show back, I'm playing Cassandra, and it's so fun until our dance captain finds me intermission, and he goes, hey, can you go on for Bomb in Act 2? She just sprained her ankle. And I was like, are you joking? And I knew Bomb, but I was a second cover for Bomb. So if she ever went out whenever I was on the ship originally, another person was going to step in first, and then I would take over if she couldn't do it. So like, did I know Bomb? Yeah, but like, was I prepared? Absolutely not. And we ended up not being able to put me in because I was painted up like Cassandra. And so they like, as much as we kind of messed with like characters and blocking, they didn't want Cassandra singing McCavity in Act 2 because that would be pushing it a little bit to have that duet happen. So I said, okay, well, I can't do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. So then that night I went home and I learned all of Bomb's tracks. But then what happened was then there was no Cassandra because I was supposed to play Cassandra. So then when I went on for Bomb, I was actually covering Cassandra's spacing. And so I would say Bomb's words, but I would dance the ball where Cassandra was supposed to be. But then I would sing, McCavity. But then I did all of, it was just very confusing. And so then I then got to scratch off that I've been Bomb now, kind of.
So a couple follow-up questions. One is the day that you were supposed to go on Bomb as in Act 2 but didn't. Mm-hmm. Who sang McCavity with Demeter? She just do it by herself?
I mean, honestly, they could have just brought a stool on stage and had our Bomb sit on the stool while Demeter danced it and Bomb sat next to her. That probably would have been an option. But I think Abby just like stood there and like kind of was like, did some
so she still went on. So the Bomb still went on with the spraying.
Her voice still worked. We're on a cruise ship.
Yeah. Okay. So she still went on to sing it, but she just didn't dance.
Yeah,
okay, so that wouldn't have been a huge change. The first night you go on as Bomb, there's no Cassandra. Where was your Tantomile, who's supposed to kind of come in, right?
Well, she didn't. No, so that's the thing. She didn't cover Cassandra. Nobody covered Cassandra because Cassandra is like a bottom tier, like Tantomile and Quartet. They don't have a cover. Yeah, we were the only people that didn't have covers, so we just got rid of Cassandra. Yeah, so I think our Tantomile, when I went back, she didn't cover her. And she didn't cover Bomb. I think our Rumple teaser covered Bomb. Like, it was a mess.
It was whoever could do the makeup and dance and sing.
Yes, honestly, it was who can wear the wig and paint their face correctly enough and like stand where they're kind of supposed to stand. And not even sing the words correctly, but just like sing something. I
love it. I feel like well, I'm not capable of dancing or singing or doing any of this, but I feel like I can maybe block a cruise version of this, because I'm like, I know the story just well enough. I can be like, all right, here's who we can cut out. Here's how we're going to change this around. Like, I want to write the 90-minute version now.
Yeah, let me know. I will help you. We trim the fat for sure.
Yeah. Did anybody ever notice any of those changes? Like, did you ever have a super fan who was like, oh my God, I can't believe that there was only one twin tonight?
I don't think so. Because again, this is not an audience where they are looking for that. They're truly just unsure of what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think I was trying to think if I would notice, as someone who knows the plot of the show better than anybody should.
Twin, would you know?
Probably not, because I think if you put one twin without the other twin and put them in a lineup, I don't think I'd point them out. Like, my knowledge of this show is purely the backstories and what I think the backstory should be, and that's where my wheelhouse is. Everything else is tangential at best, and so I'm not sure I would notice that. I also don't know. I've really truly seen the show. I saw 2016. Like that version twice. I saw the 1998 movie on a plane where I got a lot of really weird looks on an iPad because I was trying to figure out what the hell was happening to do this podcast. I saw the new movie 1.5 times. I saw it once.
You went back for round 2 after you saw it, but it was not enough to keep you.
I saw it in theater, and then I tried to convince some family members and some friends to watch it, and we made it through about half. Yeah. And then they were just like, I can't do it, because they're not super fans to begin with. Yeah. So my knowledge is really limited on that, to where if you put me at the cruise version, the 90-minute version, I'd definitely be like, oh, this is what I didn't see. Like, I could probably do that now. If you took out you cut out a couple of the other dancers, or cut a twin out and stuff like that, I might be able to now, but I don't think I would.
Yeah. Interesting.
I kind of want to see a 90-minute version though now.
Well, you can go book a cruise. I think they're about to start performances again. So
I think they're getting close. By the time this comes out, I don't know when we're releasing this. They might be back on. This would be group 8, 9. What number are they on now? Maybe even more than that.
I think they are. I was 6, and that was in 2017 to 2018. So they also started shortening the contracts, though, because they found out how dangerous it was to put a bunch of performers together for 10 months without ever letting them have a minute away from each other. So they started shortening the contracts. I think the one after ours was 8 months maybe, and that still was like a little dangerous.
It seems long still, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, going into it, oh, this is a long time that I'm going to be with these people. And so you almost kind of size each other up at the beginning. You're afraid to make alliances because you don't know who your tribe's going to be yet. And then once you don't know if the drama, I mean, I stayed away from all that. I just stayed with my twin the whole time.
Stay with the twin and the singer so you can go to the hot tub.
Yeah, so I can go get some Mexican food and get a margarita without them having to ask me if I had permission. I pretended like I was a singer.
So let's go into some rapid fire on the show.
Okay.
You've played a handful of the different characters, but if you could play anybody, forget gender, forget vocal range, forget dance ability, forget anything. If you could just be anybody for one show, what track would you really want to do?
Maybe McCavity.
McCavity? Give me the why there.
Because he just jumps out and he then does a bunch of stag leaps, and he is crazy, and he just shakes things up a little bit. And whenever the audience is maybe about to start dozing, McCavity comes out for the big fight, and it's this big epic dramatic thing where everyone's on stage huddling together, and there's like so much chaos. And I like McCavity.
I love it. That's a good reason.
I
Who's your
think lots of
favorite?
safe characters. So to like get to be someone explosive would be really fun. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Keep defending the reasons. I think that's what makes these fun. Who's your favorite and least favorite cat?
Least I love Skimble.
But you didn't like the train. You didn't like building the train, though.
No, because it's heavy.
Okay.
And we didn't have PT like to help us on the ship. So if we were to like hurt an arm or a shoulder by like picking up like a big banister or something, we were screwed. So and it was just like a little bit chaotic whenever like the train would break and then people would be like, whoa, like running around the giant wheels and then it would maybe hit Tantomile. Tantomile is really sensitive, remember? So like I just didn't like the train. But I love Skimbleshanks. And his number is like so catchy to me. I'll still just seek it out if I'm driving to work or something. I'll just listen to Skimbleshanks. And I love the person who played Skimbleshanks as well. And so just like getting to watch him perform was really fun every night. It was always a little different.
What about least favorite?
Least favorites. I think Jelly.
Jelly?
Yeah.
Why? Give the why there.
Why do most people love Jelly?
She's more of like a motherly, takes care of Gus. Like it's not one that I expect to hear as often in the dislike.
The dislike. Well, she hits that high C, but like, what else does she do?
Oh, I'm not arguing her worthiness of like the show. I'm arguing which cat character do you?
I'm offending all the Jelly lovers out there because she like sings this high note and then she just like prances around, and I don't know. She seems kind of snooty to me.
Okay, I like any argument that's different from what I'm normally hearing. So I love
Cats is so dancey, and I felt like in our ball, she didn't participate. She would like stand off to the side and like move her hands, and I'm like, you gotta dance, okay? Like we are all huffing and puffing out here, so you gotta also work for it.
Was there any? I want to ask this question without throwing anybody under the bus, so I'm going to try to figure out how to phrase this. But okay. Was there any singer, not necessarily performer, but just like because they were the singer and they got these particular benefits that the dancers didn't, was there any part of that went into like this cat doesn't really like that cat on stage because there's a little bit of like, they got to have the Mexican food and margarita and I couldn't as easily?
No, because a lot of the singers did keep to themselves and they didn't really brag about their privileges. They would quietly go get their grilled chicken protein while the rest of the dancers were like trying to find a protein bar down in the mess. They didn't really boast about it. Trying to think if there was anyone that really bothered me. I don't think so. I used those singer privileges. Like I was in with the singers. So I never really let my dancer level get me bothered by a singer. And the singers were lovely. I did like them.
Okay.
I didn't just use them for their hot tub pass.
Good political answer there for the future. What about favorite song?
Favorite song? I think I like the opening number, Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Skimble again.
No, I didn't want to be repetitive, but I do love the song. No, I think the opening is so fun when everyone has their own little bit they get to say and we're all entering. And then like, because the Jellicles are, and it's just so fun. And then you're like, it's building at the end and then you're on the choir booth. Oh my, it's just great. I love the opening number song.
Amazing. Which cat do you think would thrive living on a cruise ship? Character-wise, like which personality is going to be not necessarily as a performer on the cruise ship, but like they would just live a cruise life?
I think it's a good question. Like as in living on like a random person just living on a cruise ship, like enjoying traveling and drinking pina coladas.
So there's two ways to kind of think about this.
Okay.
Which cat would really be like in their element as a cruise for the week, or which one would be great just in general on a cruise ship? I have an answer for what I think.
Jenny. I could see Jenny. Like Jenny seems like she's someone that would like be like, come on kids, like we're going on a cruise this week.
Bring the family.
Yeah, I can see Jenny with her cockroach children or something like on the cruise ship. What are you thinking?
So I like that answer. I definitely see that. I thought Busterfer, because I feel like he's gonna have like the penthouse suite. He's gonna just all you can eat at all time. Yeah.
Unlimited soft serve. He's just gonna like live it up. Yeah.
This is his like dream world.
Yeah. I can see that.
That was where my head went. Okay. Most important question. I've argued at length on this podcast that I don't think Grisabella is the right Jolical choice. So from the cruise perspective, do you agree that Grisabella is the one that should die at the end? And if not, who should die?
From the cruise perspective.
Who are you killing 3 times a week?
I think Grizz is fine. Am I allowed to be indifferent? I know that your whole podcast.
The whole show is about why I am not indifferent on this point.
And I can't answer.
So you're just like, yeah, whatever. You're okay. So you're just like,
I think by the time, the whole evening, the whole Jellicle evening, the whole ceremony, it's so full out, and that we're all just like ready for a choice to be made. And, there's still this big ceremonious way of like sending her off. And it's like, okay, did she put on the best performance tonight? I get
maybe.
Depends on who's performing it. Who should I send to the Heaviside Layer instead of Grizz? Is that what you're asking?
The question is just, do you agree with that Jolical choice? And so if you're saying you don't really care, you just want the show to end because maybe some people have left, then my question would be,
in the audience, 4 people left.
My question would be, if you're Old Deuteronomy and you just want to end the show, and you have to pick from any of the choices, because that's really what we get to at that point. Although there's the weird ending after the ending. But
what?
If
there's
you're
an ending after the ending?
Well, don't they address the cat? Isn't it addressing the cats? Like they speak to you.
Oh yeah.
After.
What would happen if we sent Old Duke to the Heaviside Layer? Are we just done? Was that it?
There's a lot of all right, so you're opening up Pandora's box. You're asking me these questions. There's a lot of ways to think about this.
I'm picturing Old Duke just waving and like walking off.
Yeah, I'm out.
Bye guys, never mind. I choose winner. I choose.
Do that on Saturday, and then you don't have to do the other 2.
Yeah.
So the question is Old Duke even an option? Could he even die? Which is one of the questions. There's a lot of belief that answer is no. There's also the belief that Monkish Trap it's next in line, which means that if he does decide his time is to end, then Monkish Trap takes over and he's in charge of the next Jolical Ball.
That would be fun.
So I think what you should do if you ever get a cruise contract again is do the first show, pick Old Deuteronomy, and then refill that whole song with one of the twins coming in and doing something different. Just bring one up into the Old Deuteronomy section, but with something solely different, and have Monkish Trap be in charge and pick a different cat all 3 nights.
Oh, that's fun.
And then don't bring back the ones that you kill each night. So it's a full, like, it's cats 1, 2, and 3.
So it's almost like a reality show, and like it changes every night. You're saying like
you get 3 balls. Like each week is the story of cats. And
do we just pull out of a hat who gets taken?
I think that Old Deuteronomy should choose each week based on who he believes performs best.
So we're
and
like
then Monkish Trap chooses.
Style. Okay.
Yeah. And then that's how we're going to do it.
That's fun. That keeps it interesting. That makes you not really phone it in because you're like, got to be on it tonight. Is it going to be my chance to like,
I feel like this is
picker up to the ceiling?
This is also going to make the already potentially tight conversations between a tight-knit cast that you're going to spend 8 months with all of a sudden it being like, you didn't pick me this tonight.
Oh yeah.
Like that might be a little dangerous.
I wanted to ride the forklift. Come on. Like I really want to do it. My mom, or like, oh, my parents are on board next week. Can you make sure that you pick me?
I like it. And then that's how you increase audience, because now you're going to have, you don't need to do 2.5 hours each night. You can shorten it a little bit because you're going to cut out a song anyways.
Yeah.
And you have a reason to have them come all 3 nights.
Well, you need to go direct Royal Caribbean. You got to tell them you have this excellent new idea to get the audience involved. I know they're trying to get that up.
I'm just here to try to change Andrew Lloyd Webber's everything. That's all this podcast is about, is to just influence the show, change the story, and fill in the blanks with the stuff that I believe is right, because that's really all that matters, right?
Exactly. It's your show. So
okay, so $1 million question. How can we stay in touch on social media and stay in touch with you?
You can follow me on Instagram at mtann, EMTANNN. I'm a dance teacher and choreographer down here in Texas. So I'm up to new and exciting things all the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing all this wonderful wisdom of the cruise line cats. It was super fun.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I appreciate you being an amazing guest.
Of course. I'm sorry I was so indifferent about who we're sending to the Heaviside Layer. The one most important question, and I wasn't even prepared to answer it. I was
as I say, it always amazes me when someone's like, I haven't thought about it. I'm like, the show's called The Wrong Cat Died. Like, it's coming. The question is coming. But I also don't mind indifference, because I think that's why I argue against Grisabella a bit. It's just like, is she really the best choice? Like, it is a little indifferent.
Yeah, I don't know. It depended on the day and how I felt about Grisabella at that show. Maybe I felt bad for her. Maybe I didn't. Depending on if I went to the beach that day with her and was in a good mood.
Yeah, that is a dynamic that I don't think we get outside of the cruise line version, which was fun to hear.
Well, the floor also doesn't move whenever you're doing the show on land, but when you're out on a boat, the floor is also it
completely moving.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, things you don't think about. You got to get really good at squeezing your abs and like bending your knees and not letting yourself fall over.
Wow. Again, thank you for being an amazing guest. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.